Welcome to Around the Bases, the pop culture and sports podcast with your host. I'm Tim Sternberg with my buddy
Charlie Seymour, and we have a special guest with us, another member of the We Are Family community. Welcome our good pal, Mike Evans.
Woohoo,
Hey everyone.
Mike! Welcome,
Yeah,
dude.
Tim and Charlie. This is so exciting. Thanks for having me.
How
Thanks
you
for
doing?
coming on.
I'm doing great. I just love, we text and message on Instagram and WhatsApp. I'd like to be talking to you right now. It's just it feels so great. And I can't wait until we get to see each other in person again because I know that's going to happen
Yeah.
sometime.
One of the beautiful things, Mike, you are being across the street when we were there, I didn't meet a lot of people. I have become friends with a lot of people since, which has really been a blessing. But you're one of the few people that actually I had a conversation with in
Yeah.
Atlanta and got to meet and learn a little bit about you. And you're quite a fascinating person, sir, I must say.
Well, thank you. It means a lot coming from another very fascinating person and cast member. I remember the conversation. We were, and I feel so bad. I mean, for those listening and who are, following along about our journey on this game show, We Are Family. There were just so many cast members, and yes, you mentioned sort of the different hotels as well, but even still, it was difficult to really have long conversations with everyone. It really, just was impossible to do that. But and I think I was probably en route somewhere else when I was in the lobby and ran across you both. But I remember that distinctly because we talked about our previous game shows that we were on. And
Sure did.
I loved, Charlie, just how enthusiastic you were about hearing about my experience. And it was so cool. I remember that very, very vividly.
Yes, I remember it very well too. And I remember you're going to have to let our listeners know the exact one because I remember I was upset for you and it happened to you and I had just met you.
So I saw the episode also.
Right. That's why I knew you were quality right there. Yes. So I was previously on the $100,000 pyramid back in 2018. And my celebrity partners were Rita Moreno and Justina Machado. And they were both on at that time, One Day at a Time, the reboot. Yeah. So that's why they were paired together and they were our celebrity contestants. But I didn't fare so well. I walked away with $0.
I mean, there should be a little context because I don't think it's fair to say you didn't fare so well.
I
think you played pretty well. I think you may have gotten an unfair shake there.
Oh, thank you. I mean, a lot of people like to point to those people I was paired with as being the problems. If you watch the episode, it was season 3, episode, I don't know, I think like 11 or something, 12.
I think when I recorded it for you, I think
that's right, you did. And and I also think, on that show, people who are out there who are game show aficionados will know that this show sometimes you it's the luck of the draw with the categories and
the celebrities, right?
Yes. And so I think that I fell victim to that. If you were to watch, I had my opponent who was really great. Love her. Actually keep in touch with her. Her daughter was just on filmed Wheel of Fortune.
That's awesome.
Which will be airing in April. Yeah. And but she would have like parts of a shirt, which she can just literally point to, sleeve, collar, button. And then I'm like exotic animals that are just like
you have to pull out of thin air.
Yeah, it was very stressful. Or she had 4-letter words that contain the letters BAR and one other letter. And I had literally 10-letter words with no repeating letters.
Oh my God. I mean, come on.
That's
like a Saturday Night Live sketch right there.
Right. I know it felt that way. So that is part of it. But, I really, and you guys will appreciate this. I arrived on set for that. And if anyone is looking to be in a game show, go on a game show, expect the unexpected, because we got there and we realized right away this is going to sound familiar to you all, that there were more people than they needed that day.
Yes,
I heard your experience on Wheel of Fortune too was the same
it
way,
was. It
Tim.
was.
How many of you
And
were there and how many got on?
there were 8, and they needed 6.
Okay.
And
So
2
they
of the
filmed
people,
2 episodes?
So did
3 episodes.
3 episodes.
did
Okay.
2 of those people know that they were alternates, or nobody knew?
So yes, 2 of them did know.
Okay, yeah,
They
I
were
knew I was an
there. They
alternate.
had been there in New York. This is when it filmed in New York. Now it films in LA. But the thing is, they did replace one of the people that came in. It was wild. I mean, like, you get there, and
Was
I
it a
was
medic
told,
situation?
no, it was just like
Eligibility?
literally the
Oh,
vibes were off or something. I don't know. They never
oh,
explained it.
wow. Yeah,
Wow.
that
And
Oh,
does
okay.
happen.
Wow.
Yeah,
they
it
just
does
said, okay,
happen.
we're gonna like talk about who's gonna be paired with who and what celebrities in what order, and then they announced it, and the guy who was an alternate was announced first, and I thought, oh, like that's gonna be
What's
wild because
happening? Yeah.
someone is not going to make it on that thought they were, and I thought maybe that would be me. So
Do they
thank you.
randomly draw who gets which show, which parts of the show, like, or is it selected?
I think that I don't think they randomly draw that. They do randomly draw if you're
Oh,
going to be in like the seat A or seat B first, but
gotcha.
I don't think that I think that they probably were intentional about which contestants they put with which celebrities.
Celebrities.
Did you get to watch the other 2 episodes that you didn't film or no?
Nope,
No. Okay.
no. My parents did though. They were in the audience. That was really cool.
Oh, so okay. So they were in the audience for all 3 episodes and you went on either the second or the third.
Yeah, I was on the second one, and I didn't get to watch the other ones.
So when
Um,
you say episode, though, so for context for those that are watching, Pyramid, when it airs really 2 half-hour episodes together as one full hour. So when you're talking an episode, you're talking the 1 half hour with the other contestant and the celebrity, right?
yes,
Yeah, okay,
exactly. Yeah,
got it.
right. And frankly, I mean, so why I bring up that story is that I was just grateful, even though I didn't win anything. I walked away and I was like, I got to be on, and let's hope that it airs. And that sort of was my takeaway. And there was an episode, I think it was our season that didn't air ever.
Oh,
And there was because from what I understand, I don't know exactly, but there was a category related to Roseanne Barr,
oh,
and she
that was a
then
controversy that time.
had the controversy come out in between
Yeah.
filming and then what would be the airing. So
Wow.
never aired it, but I don't know what happened with that person, if they got to like get their money.
So
Probably.
did the show put you up in New York? Where'd they put you up?
Mhm. Yep. Very
What
nice
hotel?
hotel. Not
Yeah.
a Courtyard
Millionaire
Marriott.
did that too. Yeah, Millionaire put us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
cool.
Was
And
that your first show?
that was my first show. But then I thought about it because, what's really cool. I've always wanted to be on shows, and we'll talk about, I know this is what we'll get into, less about me, more about other shows, but
you too.
I definitely, always grew up watching, you'll know this. I mean, we talk about this, The Challenge and The Real World and everything. And I was like so into that stuff, like from the start. Like I watched The Challenge since 1998 when it began. So, and ever since. Um, and I always thought it'd be so cool to be on one of those shows, but I never applied. And I should have. I wish I did. When I look at like the younger cast members on our shows, I think like good for them because they're starting early on it. Tim, I know. Well, I
Absolutely.
mean, do you mind me asking how old you are when you did your first show?
No, I don't mind you asking it all. Let me do
Okay.
quick math. Hold on. 30 years, 20. I was 29 years old.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm younger than,
that
I mean, I
was,
was
yeah.
33.
I had to do this. 71, 81, 91. Oh,
That's great.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, like you see some of the younger cast members, it's awesome they start early and do that. But I was such a fan of those shows. And then so I thought about there was one show I applied for when I was in college, which it was for MTV, and it was called I'm from Rolling Stone. And it was a reality show that would be like about, because I was a journalism major. And so there was like journalists, music journalists that if you won, you got to work for Rolling Stone.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And my good friend Garrick, who now works at the LA Times, like he's super successful. He got really far. He went to Ohio State with me. We worked on the paper together. but he didn't get on the show. But it's okay because the show like aired 2 episodes and then never aired the rest
Yeah,
of
that's why we
That
never
was
heard of it.
I was going to be my follow-up
Yeah.
was, did the show air? Because I don't remember that.
Yeah, like
And
2
I'm a geek for
episodes.
these things, and I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
recall
it did
that.
not. So I'm like, well, yeah, it's a show about writers. I don't think that's going to be very exciting.
What I'm sure that it was back before streaming. What channel did it air?
Yeah, it was MTV. Yeah,
MTV. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so that was the only show. So that was one show I applied for back on like camcorder, and then Pyramid. One day I'm just sitting on the couch, and I'm like, I think I want to like just get into this because I could do this. And Pyramid's like one of those I feel. I don't know, Tim, you can tell me. I think it's
I
like
love Pyramid.
at
I
the top.
love if I could play Pyramid. I've auditioned a number of times. If I could play that game, I absolutely I'm a killer at it. Like, and
Yeah.
again, it doesn't really matter necessarily. You were a killer too, but I love Pyramid. I
Yeah.
love the word
You
association.
can only go so far as your partner getting your hints correct.
But I would
I know,
totally
like, get
do
it.
that. I would totally go on Pyramid. Absolutely. And honestly, in the future, who knows, right?
Right.
But I would totally
That's a
do that.
classic show. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, it's cool to be on
I
a
used to watch it
show.
with Dick Clark. Yeah,
Wow.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then Donny Osmond had a version of the show that I auditioned for back in the day. It was a syndicated version of Pyramid, and then now, of course, Michael Strahan is back, and
Yeah.
yeah. When you told me, I legit was like excited that you told me you were
Yeah.
on Pyramid because I love that show so much. And then you mentioned the celebrities, and I'm like, oh, I definitely remember that episode because I was watching One Day at a Time. I liked the reboot when it was out, so I was like, oh. Christina Machado, and of course, I
Yeah.
mean, you got to sit next to Marina Moreno,
I
even
know.
though it might not have been like prime, but it's Rita Moreno. Come on.
She's an EGOT winner. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
She
Yeah.
is like a legend. She's like 92 years old or something like that now.
It's
I
so
mean,
cool.
yeah.
I was really impressed, even though I still think it's very impressive to see her play and be
Yeah.
old. Honestly, I mean, my grandma's that age and would not be able to play that game. So it's so cool to see her.
She has her
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah.
And you do work, and so speaking of which, a little transition. Some of the work that you do, you work for Alzheimer's. You do a lot of work for the government and Alzheimer's, and
Mhm.
and I'm very appreciative of that. We kind of
Yeah.
talked a little bit. My dad had a dementia, which isn't Alzheimer's, but it's a similar type of thing, and he died from he had Lewy body, Parkinson's,
Yeah.
and so I applaud you and thank you so much for the work that you're doing to advocate for. And we had also Chelsea also.
Yeah.
Ironically, Alzheimer's work too. I just love that, and I
I know.
appreciate that. We need more advocacy for that. So
Absolutely. And the Alzheimer's Association is, it is not just Alzheimer's, it's all other dementias, which includes Lewy body. So sorry to hear that about your father. And I know that,
Thank you.
same thing with my grandfather and my grandma who has dementia. And it's one of those things that
Horrible.
you play those games, right? And you think, and you get to do these things and you hope that you never fall victim to it. But the only way we can really ensure that is to keep fighting for a cure, so that we can prevent that from happening in the future. So yeah, it's cool. I reached out to Chelsea and to see if she'd be at this conference I went to, and she unfortunately was not going, but
in New Orleans, right? You went?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna put a link out when I release this. I'll put a link to so people can help and support.
Okay.
And
yeah. Thank you.
Definitely.
That's
Thank
great.
you for doing that.
Yeah.
You're, Charlie, if you don't mind, I have to say you're a very inspiring guy, Mike. I watch you. You're competing in marathons, like literally right after our show finished taping.
Yeah.
You were out there running a marathon.
He was training while we were taping.
Yeah.
I mean, like on the day off, he would go run.
I literally look at your gym pics and I go, damn, this dude, like, I want to, like, I'm a lot older than you, but still, like, you're encouraging and, you're inspiring. I mean, the fact that you're just getting up and doing it. And, I have another person I follow. I literally, like, on Instagram, I'll see when they post, it's like 4:30 in the morning and they're in the gym already.
Oh so, my gosh. I'm not that,
but. But kudos to you though.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say, and yes, during We Are Family, I had to run like a 20-mile run. I mean, that's another thing that took me away from like hanging out more with people. Unfortunately, I had to do these training runs. But Charlie knows though that even though I'm into fitness and everything, I still
time for the donuts.
I still have time for the donuts.
And Charlie is our
You have to.
For those of you who don't know, I don't think we've ever talked about this on the show. Every morning at taping, Charlie would legitimately go across the street to the gas station, buy a box of donuts, and bring them to the taping. And he was the most popular guy.
You never knew what was going to be provided. And some of the times, it'd be hours. So like
It's
you needed
true.
something. So
Yeah.
the nice thing was with that like little mini super highway that was separated the hotels. I guess that filling station, gas station, whatever you want to call it, it had gaming in there. It had everything.
It was wild.
But because there was so much traffic and truck drivers and stuff, they would refill the Krispy Kremes that evening. So they were always fresh when we would walk over there. It was just like way too easy. So
I literally, Charlie and I were friends. We became friends really quickly in Atlanta. And I used to legit look at him and go, why is he bringing donuts? What's going on? And, you guys were taping before I was. So my first day, I went there and I saw, I'm like, oh, now I totally get it.
Oh, yeah. Craft services need a little boost, right?
Yes.
Did you end up bringing something the second day, Tim, from the hotel?
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you did. I think you're like, you told me to bring a Ziploc bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I loved it. You know what? The food is
best. I mean, especially the last few days. I mean, we were looking at like 12, 13-hour days.
That last day was.
They were long.
Oh my
gosh. What time? We were at the studio until midnight, I think, that last
Later
day.
than that.
You guys went back.
Paperwork.
They went back to the hotel and had Alexandra threw this party. And I was like, how are people even up?
Yeah,
I didn't go
sleep
sleep
at the
that
hotel till almost 2 that night, I think.
And then the airport the next day. Oh God.
I almost died. That's what I say.
By
the way, I have three stress balls on my desk.
You do?
One is a dumbbell, one is a brain for the Alzheimer's Association.
Love that.
And one is a donut. So
yes.
There you go. That sums me up.
That's Charlie loves that.
I love that.
We already planned. I'm going to Chicago in June, and we're like, Charlie, pizza.
Oh yeah, you got it. Like, that's the thing. It's always you got to indulge. And that's the thing. I think pop culture and what you're doing with this podcast and people out there. I mean, I think I love that I found you guys through this game show because some people, when it comes to game shows or competition reality shows, aren't as into it. It's hard to find your tribe of people who want to talk about this stuff.
Tribe.
But, yeah. There you go. Although we don't call them that anymore. Cleveland. But exactly. I will say that I like, for me, working in a job where I'm so buttoned up and it's real serious work that I do. And then also you can't escape the news and how heavy it is sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's why I love, game shows and competition reality shows. It's just, you're able to kind of just watch, enjoy, and it's going to be light, fun, colorful, exciting, so that's what I love about it.
Speaking of which, transition. Have you been watching Deal or No Deal Island?
I've not. I know. I'm sorry. I've been listening to you guys talk about it though. I need to watch Boston Rob and everything, right?
It's very interesting. Did you watch this week's episode, Charlie?
I did. We watched it yesterday.
Charlie, if they offer me 40 grand, I'm taking it, Charlie.
100%.
They offered, so the contestant, just Mike, just so you know, she made it to, if you lose a challenge, then there's a bottom two, and then the person who wins the challenge chooses which one of them faces the banker. And so Miranda, I think it was, faced the banker, and she had like 4 or 5 6-figure cases up there, and chances were that she was going to have a 6-figure case. And they offered her, the first time they did this in the banker round, they offered a personal offer of 40 grand for her just to take the deal. And of course she took the deal, but the odds definitely were not stacked for her. Her deal offer, there was only like one case lower than that. So, it didn't work out. And so she took the offer 40 grand, and in her case was like
1,175 maybe
$150,000.
One of the bigger ones.
That which it would have added to the bank. So the bank would have been over $2 million. And I'm thinking, and I was talking to Erica today, my wife, and I'm like, they just saved so much money just by offering her $40,000 in that budget, because all that money.
So for context for this show, how it works is all the contestants together play to build up the pot. At the end of the show, there's only one of them at the end who plays for everything. So they kind of will them down one at a time.
Yeah.
And in this one, the offer was like Tim said, the offer was going to be huge. So the banker wanted to cut his losses essentially. And honestly, she was right to take it because unless you're sure, which you can't be, you're going to be the very last person left. Everyone else is going home with zero. So to get your chance at 40,000, she had to take it, even though she knew she was going to lose. You know,
Absolutely. I can't see her not, because we know, like, being on the show, right? You only get, and even Survivor, which we're going to talk about next, on these shows, you only get a certain, I think Big Brother pays you like $2,000 a week just to be there, to kind of
Right.
adjust cost of living and expenses. So if someone's offering you 40 grand, like, I know the big prize, but only one person's going to win that big prize. Honestly, if someone went up to me during We Are a Family and said, "Hey, I give you $10,000 just to walk away," I'm like, "I love you guys, bye." I mean, what I mean?
yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially on one like this where only the one that you know of is going to win anything.
Right. That's
exactly.
wild. Well, I'm sure you guys, and I know you guys watch Traders, because
Oh
that's
yeah,
this feels like it has some elements of that to it, building up the bank and everything.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely.
And
yeah,
betraying each other. You don't know who to trust. This is
yeah,
funny is what Tim was mentioning before. Aaron is Boston Rob's like number one. He was the one who had the control at the end of this one. And he basically showed his hand to Rob that Rob is his number two. So Rob got valuable info and
yeah.
then had the woman at the end who played the banker, had she won, she had openly already said she lied to him and she was going to backstab Aaron anyways and then eliminate his number one and to Rob's two.
Oh,
So
yeah,
His
honestly, it would have
days are
probably made
numbered.
for better TV had she kept playing it out, but
yeah.
Don't you?
But
Don't you think his days are numbered?
100% because
Yeah.
then as she left, she blew up the game too. Because as she left with her 40,000, Joe Manganiello asked her, and she said, "Oh yeah, I was gonna eliminate his best friend." And he actually wanted me to eliminate Stephanie. So he then said the plan out loud, and everyone gave that look like, "Oh man,
yeah,
I have a
his
pre-
game just got blown
that'll
up."
that'll be his downfall. Yeah,
I
sounds
have a
like it.
prediction, Charlie. You ready? I think Dawson's going to win the whole thing. This guy is playing a good game. He's kind of sitting back and letting everyone else kind of.
See, the interesting part about this game is I think it's just
Yeah.
you're just throwing a dart at a guess because all it takes is one person to not like you. They
Right.
beat the banker and then they decide, hey, you're going home.
But
That's
if you
the
keep the
one
heat
thing
off
that's a
of you,
little right. But, what if you're down to 3 or 4 people and let's say Kim won and she thinks he's one of her bigger competitions in the challenges, she might
good
take her
point.
shot there. So
I don't think Boston Rob's going to win. That's for sure. No way.
yeah, unless he keeps winning immunity the weeks that he's up,
No way.
it's going to
Yeah.
be tough.
Yeah. There's
You
no way.
you think though that NBC or Peacock NBC might want Rob to win or at least get deeper into the game to keep people watching? So
I think there's something. I mean, last week when he had to face the banker, he had the best stacked odds in an offer I've ever seen. Of course, you would take. So basically, Mike, if there are 10 cases, right, and your offer is like better than 6 or 7 of those cases, it makes sense to take the offer. Like,
I
because
think
then your
so.
chances you're going to go ahead and move forward in the game and eliminate somebody else. So yeah, they can kind of choose where they're going to put that offer, which is interesting.
yeah, because Rob was like 75%, I think was the math when he was playing,
Yeah,
and then this week when they gave her the personal offer, she was at like 40%. It was not a good deal, but she took it to take the money.
it's interesting how that works. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
Are,
that's what
are
they
all
wanted.
people on this show kind of like season 2 of Traders? Are they all people from other shows like Boston Rob? Okay, so he's kind
just
of
Boston Rob.
He's the only
Well,
one, to my
and
knowledge.
really.
Claudia
Oh
was a
yeah, well
model
yes,
on Deal or
Claudia,
No
but
Deal.
Claudia was she was a model
She's
on Deal or
gone.
No Deal. She wasn't an actual game player.
Right.
Right. Interesting that he's just thrown in like that, and then they're keeping him. That's
Yeah.
that's
He
wild.
was just
So
Well,
that's what I
recently.
need.
one of the weeks he was in danger, and they convinced someone else to fall on the sword that week. And then one of the weeks, the other 2 of the other weeks, him and his friend have been in power. So
Yeah.
far, he's been pretty safe.
He was just recently on a home improvement show on CBS that he did for a
Oh,
couple of
yeah, I
years
remember
with
that. I remember hearing that.
celebrity renovation. And
Yeah.
so I guess, he's not in contract with that, and he went to NBC, and NBC is very smart to do that, because if you have
Yeah.
a brand new show, you want someone who's going to generate that interest, and he certainly did. At
Oh,
least
I can tell you
know.
right now, if Boston Rob was not on, it'd probably be 3-4 times more likely I wouldn't have watched.
Yeah. So there you go.
Right. Well, and that's the
Speaking
thing. I
of,
mean, I think it's interesting that these people haven't gotten rid of them. I mean, I don't know the format entirely, but it just seems like
So basically how it works is either A, you're the person playing the banker. If you lose, you go home. Or B, if you win, you pick who goes home. So they did get Rob up to the banker once, but Rob won. So he chose instead of going
of course he
home.
did.
And then 2 of the other weeks he was safe. One of the weeks he had the highest case, so he was immune.
Mhm.
So the 1 week where someone would have taken a shot at him, he was immune. They took a shot at him once and he survived. And then they've been in power the other couple weeks so far. So I think if anyone else wins on the other half, lines are pretty much drawn. It's
Yeah.
pretty much 4v4. They're pretty, not for sure. There's a couple, swing, but there's a few entrenched on both sides. If the other side wins again, they'll take another shot at Rob.
Yeah. Well, Tim made the prediction, Dawson winning. So what about you?
Oh man,
you're the numbers guy.
I think that's why I think it's you're just throwing a dart at a board at this point.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I think Aaron shot himself in the foot bad, so I'm gonna throw him out. I think Kim and Stephanie have too big of a targets from their sides. I'm gonna take, honestly, I kind of like one of the tweeners. While the other two sides kind of take shots at each other, they kind of sneak by
I think you're right.
unnoticed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. And then you never know, honestly, now that they're getting less and less people, now that Aaron built up a rapport with Dawson, it wouldn't shock me if Rob can convince Dawson, hey, we need to keep each other around so we're shields for each other. And then 1 week, Rob wins immunity. Like, he could get towards the end. Plus, you got to think they'll manipulate it a little bit to keep him there. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was kind of inferring.
Right. Right. Which is why they gave her the offer to do it.
Yeah. And I liked her. I don't know why they would want her gone. I guess because she would have taken out, I don't know. Like,
she was going to take out Aaron's number right hand. That's another thing. Right hand.
I think it's wrong if once, and you guys will talk about Survivor in a second. Once you're out of the game, you shouldn't be allowed to speak anymore and encourage the game.
Honestly, I was pretty shocked. I was pretty shocked that they let her do that, to be honest.
When Joe asked her, I was like, no, because
that's like the traitors. If they would have like talked after they revealed who they
right, it would have ruined it.
Yeah,
would have ruined it.
Should not have allowed that to happen. I was shocked. Like, what is going on here? Like, once Jeff says the tribe has spoken, that's it. Once Julie says you've been evicted, well, Big Brother's is a little different where you can kind of, which happens, but still.
Yeah. But to your point, I was literally just going to say, segue to Survivor. I do believe once or twice after he's snuffed the torch, one or two has kind of turned and said something, and not often, but I mean, you might remember better, Mike, but I do believe once or twice someone has said something that kind of, like, hey, someone so-and-so's got an idol in their pocket or something.
Right. Well, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I remember something like that happening. And I mean, that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of the same with traders. There were a couple things that they'd say in their exit when they reveal who, and I was like, oh man, they probably clamp down real hard on those people to not blow it. Because you can see like Dan getting, for anyone that didn't watch, and when he left, and he could have been like, hey, and so,
they could have all blown up the game, and
I believe they're in the rules. They mention that you cannot ever reveal who else is a traitor. Like, you can't. Right. Yeah, so I think that he couldn't do that.
He would get in a lot of trouble.
Speaking of Survivor,
yes,
Banu. Like, oh my God. Dude, how do you go and audition for a show and not know how to play the show? What is going on?
Like, he's a trip.
What an emotional.
I do not think he was successful winning $1 million hearts. but I couldn't.
No. No, definitely
Charlie
not.
shared with me a bunch of tweets
Yeah,
after.
Oh, I
the
bet
internet
that's
was pretty
funny.
ruthless that night. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I bet that's funny. Oh my gosh.
My absolute by far favorite part was when he went down to his knees to beg, and she was like, "Nope, nope, nope, not get stand up." She's like, "I'm not having this." She shut that down so fast. That was by far my favorite part.
Oh my
Here's the
gosh.
thing. I know for a fact, because I've auditioned for other shows, they 100% do a psychological test. You have to meet with a psychologist. Like, this guy has the emotional intelligence of a flea. Like, what in the world? Like, his coping
Well,
skills.
thankfully, I feel like it's a harmless type. He's emotional, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No,
It's TV
totally.
worthy. Definitely TV
yeah,
worthy.
they always have one. Oh man, what was the woman's name? She's blonde. Last couple, she had all the tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, she.
Kim
Charlie would
maybe?
know this.
What was it?
Was it Kim maybe?
I don't think that's it. But either way, they always
I
have
know
that
who you're
little
talking about.
kooky. But
Yeah,
she made it pretty far though.
she
So
did.
the one I'm thinking of. But I know it's funny. It's cringy watching them, and also as someone who has auditioned for Survivor and been really like that's my like goal. It's so disappointing to know when there's people there that want to give up or who are really bad at the game, but especially the people who want to
Or
just give up
quit.
after a couple days. Yeah, and the past couple seasons there's been too many of these people that are just like 2 days in, like just vote me out. I want to go home.
Well,
I'm like,
Jeff said
what?
he's not snuffing torches anymore. If they quit, it's not, you're a quitter and that's it, which is the way it should be.
Oh, you mean like you're out of here and then you still gotta
Yeah.
vote someone else out?
Yeah,
Or
you're quitting. Okay, goodbye. Like you're not getting the tribe of spoken,
yeah,
the
yeah.
snuff, the torch, the
But even
tradition.
still, people can still quit. Like tell people to vote for
It's
them.
irritating.
It is irritating.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's
So they
only a
got to get
30-day
some.
season now. It's not
I
even
know that
39 days
too.
anymore.
That too. I bet that I know they started doing that during COVID, and I know I wonder if it's just like liability purposes that helps a lot of things
Probably
because there's
money
already a lot
too.
of money. Yeah. Oh, totally
Yeah.
money. But
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
probably it gets a little bit more quote unquote dangerous the more people are out there.
and
Along.
what they do, I'm sure you guys know this already, but they literally tape a season and then they have like a week break and then they tape another season. So that's
Yeah.
pretty much they're there for two
Yeah.
and a half
I
months.
applied in person last summer. There's actually, believe it or not, I live in Ohio, and Ohio has islands. I don't know if you knew that.
I did. I
Charlie knows. I
did.
mean, the Great Lakes are. You live
I
at the Great
didn't know
Lakes.
that.
So I there's one little island in the middle of Lake Erie called Put Bay, and if it has like this reputation of being this crazy party like central, lots of bachelor parties, everything. But you have to take a ferry over, which is like $40, and it's the round trip. But it's you got to. So my cousin lived right in the city that you would take off from the ferry. So I like tried to beat the crowd to get there, and I was number 72 in line, which is good because there were thousands literally, and they cut it off
Wow.
like at a certain. I know there were hundreds of people still in line. Um, but
And then which
apparently, like there
season
are
was
not
this
very many
for?
in. It would have been for 47, so I never heard anything, but it was still fun to go because my cousin and I hung out. But it was something to see. Met some people in line, and then um, just to know that this is the setup for it too, because this was in the summer, and then it was for season 47, which I think would be airing next, yeah, in this
Mhm.
fall.
Yeah,
So
they
it's probably
typically
going
will
now.
tape them. I think they tape the seasons in August, if I'm not mistaken, like July, August, they used to do them
Sounds about
in
right.
May and in November. They
Yeah,
used to not tape them together because they used to go to
yeah.
different locations. Now they just tape in Fiji and
I know.
so
It's
yeah.
funny. Well, and the thing about this thing too is I think that there were only like two in-person auditions. So there were people in line that had driven from like Kansas City all the way up to Ohio.
Does that
And like
mean you're in the database for future seasons, or do you have to do it again for a new season?
Now you need to do it again.
probably need to do it again, yeah. I should have
Okay.
sent a video in, but like I was gonna send a video in then I got cast for Pyramid. Then I waited after Pyramid, but then COVID happened, and then I never redid it until then. But
Yeah.
I think that you mentioned I do advocacy, so I'm technically a lobbyist, and I think they've never had a lobbyist, to my knowledge, on the show, and that's a perfect job because my entire job requires me to try to convince people to vote how I need them to vote, and work with different sides and
I
different
think
types
it
of
would be
people.
I
great.
said to you in Atlanta that I think you'd be amazing on Survivor.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
thanks. That's my
So
dream.
they need to check you
What
out.
about you, Charlie? What would you ever go on Survivor?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I think that would be ideally would be it, but I'm such a bad picky eater that I don't know if I'd survive.
We just don't eat.
So wait, I think Charlie
That's the
loves Big
problem.
Brother.
I might be one of those medical evac. Hey, you have to leave the game for an hour and then you're out. You know,
I need
maybe
a donut.
if they adopted the Australia rules where you can return within 24 hours, I think it'd be different, which I think they should do because it's
That's fair.
neither here nor there. But
Yeah.
anyways, that would probably preclude me from doing it. Other than that, I think that would be my first choice.
So you're never gonna do Big Brother either because of slop.
Probably not. And then even the challenge when they have to eat that gross stuff all the time.
That would be tough. That would be one of my tough things. Puzzles and running and all that, I can do that. But yeah, eating fish guts and stuff would be tough.
If you could guarantee me that I didn't have to do that portion of it, where do I sign?
Right.
So speaking of this season of Survivor, by the way,
I was gonna say
Jelinski. What another disaster.
I know.
Perfect example of someone who's quitting, basically.
Basically, you're not.
They called him out on it at Tribal too, which was
he
great.
didn't do one challenge. Then he didn't do another challenge, and then he had the nerve to say it's not me, and then they literally said it is you, like it's you. I predicted. I was talking to Charlie a couple episodes ago. I think Ben is going to go far, and I think Charlie on Survivor is going to go far. Their social game is on point, and they're getting an edit that seems like. And I was saying, Jeff Probst had an interview, I think, on Rob Has a Podcast, which is a great podcast. And he basically said to Rob, he goes, "This is a very musical season, and we know that Ben and Charlie have this musical kind of connection.
Yeah,
Charlie is a Swiftie, and Ben is a rocker." And
he yelled Taylor Swift as he jumped off.
I know, it's so funny. It's so hilarious.
I called Charlie's namesake.
The one, I know. Well, another one is it Hunter?
Yeah, Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter, man, that guy's a stud. He's like good. He literally, he's shooting balls and they just go right in. Like, what?
Yeah, he's a good asset in that respect. I don't know about his social game. He's kind of a recluse a little bit, or like not as outgoing, I should say. And then the other one is that I think is about to go would be that Kenzie.
Oh yeah,
Kenzie, she would have gone if not for the whole.
I know
the night Banu almost blew it.
I was waiting for that blind side and her to just be like, "What?" Because she was gonna.
Know.
And
she's like, Banu, if they don't have that stupid medical rule, she goes home.
I know.
I think Venus is not long for this world either. On the show.
Not long for this world.
on Survivor. On Survivor's world, she's gonna live forever. But I'm talking about Survivor.
Yeah, I love that phrase though.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, well, Kenzie, that's the thing. That would have been such a beautiful, like, she is so
that was lining up to be one of the better blindsides.
Yeah. And that's great because Banu, well, he's lucking out left and right. Like people like
when the guy got medevaced, he skimmed by the skim of his
and he was gonna luck out by this person just using him as a pawn, but that can only last for so long. Then people are just gonna
why is it he goes to like the thing and starts just black? What is wrong with you? And then why don't you go back and say that you did what you did? Like people that you have to lie on these shows. I'm sorry, I'm an educator. Yeah. I tell my kids, right away, I'm gonna lie on the show. Sorry guys, it's a game. Yeah, that's it. Just like when you play poker, you don't tell them, "Hey, I have a full house." You don't do that.
Exactly. It's exactly.
So when are they gonna go back to 2 tribes?
You mean in
the beginning? Yeah,
I know.
It seems there's always one weak tribe, and
they get eaten up.
They get eaten. Yeah, it's the same thing every time lately. I think they need to go back to 2.
And you're right. And there's a couple people that just like don't like it's like episode 6 or 7, and you're like, oh, this person's in this game because their particular tribe doesn't get shown a lot, and then.
It makes it more interesting, right? It makes the social game
too.
And the voting is so much more interesting with the more numbers in the beginning.
It's a
lot harder to go
ways.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would like
think-
to see
I
that.
think that's a couple seasons. One more bad one of that. I mean, this one. I mean, they're gonna merge. They're gonna have to merge soon. It's what? Otherwise, they're gonna sit out 3 people on both tribes. I mean, they can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah, no, they have. I think a merge is coming in the next week or two.
Yeah. I'd also love to see them go back to themes because 45, 46, 47, it's just, I like the
blood versus
blood versus,
water.
yes, heroes versus villains.
Go other places. Like I still
Yes.
think it would be interesting. I know it's not as sexy, but it would be interesting to have a cold season of Survivor in Alaska or something. I think that would be interesting.
That would be.
I'd like to see how
Yeah.
that social thing plays out.
The challenge does a great job at that. So
Yeah.
speaking of,
I even saw someone when there was a thread of people making suggestions. An interesting one I thought was, what if they started with just one big tribe, 20 people? The voting would be crazy.
Yeah, why not? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to at least see it once, see how it goes. And if they don't like it, go back to 2.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Challenge. Go ahead.
I was going to talk about the challenge. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
because there is a rumor. Well, first of all, April 10th is the premiere of All Stars 4 on Paramount Plus, which is really cool. They have a really great cast of like some of the throwback people, and I love the All Stars.
Is Johnny Bananas on it?
No, he's not on the All Stars one. His All Stars is typically the people that haven't really been on a lot of the regular one.
Got it. See, I'm not a regular challenge viewer.
Throwback people.
Got it.
So there's like people like Rachel they're gonna be on this, and Veronica Carmaria is coming back to this one, and so it's really neat to see some of the real old school people coming back to All Stars. But then I hear season 40, which is coming up soon. Rumor is, again, it's a rumor online, that this season is going to be formatted. Speaking of themes, it's going to be eras. So they're literally going to have 4 teams. And it's going to be the era 1, 2, 3, 4. So people who were premiered during the first 10 seasons, the second 10 seasons, the third 10 seasons, and the new people. And I saw the rumored cast list, and Johnny Bananas on those people on that.
Sounds amazing right there.
Oh,
that sounds great.
Johnny Bananas, Wes Bergman, that whole Oh yeah, love it. Speaking of Wes, he's going to be on. Do you watch House of Villains?
Yes, and I knew you were going to say that. I wanted to talk about that. Yeah,
love that show. I just saw
Nev, right?
Our friend Nev shared with me the trailer today. She's like, and I sent it right to Charlie. I'm like, yes.
Oh, I didn't see the trailer. Oh, sweet,
I'm going to send it to you after this.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I saw the list though. The
list.
Yes.
It was, I don't know. In all fairness, it was more of a behind the scenes of the casting and not really a trailer.
It's a promo video.
It's great. It's pretty funny.
You got Richard Hatch from Survivor.
Gosh. That guy, these people that make it, they're all, I mean, first of all, he went to prison too. That's some of these people who have been just in the lexicon of culture just from being on forever for 20 years. Here he is again.
New York's coming back.
That's amazing.
I love
if you read the rumored cast from like a few weeks back, it was like exactly.
It's basically the same. They got it all right.
Okay, cool.
The leak was correct, but you get to see each one of them do a little like back and forth with Joel, like it was the process of getting on. It's pretty funny.
Our buddy Joel, I love him. Me too. That was so cool having him. And I was gonna say, just when you mentioned New York, she was on Flavor of Love, right? That was the first thing she was on, and I am really disappointed that it didn't air. And Tim, you weren't there for this, I don't believe, but in one of the episodes of We Are Family, I guessed Flavor Flav.
Yep,
Flavor Flav.
And that's what I did, and maybe they spared me the embarrassment, which could very well be. And that's completely fine. But I was like, I really thought it was going to happen, that they were going to show my guess for Kenny Smith.
They took it down. They took down the promo video.
Oh no!
I'm going to have to use my magic later.
That's weird. That's strange.
Yeah, I wish I saved it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Very interesting.
That's strange. Well, I can't wait for that one to show. Yeah, Wes Bergman, he's awesome. And the challenge, by the way, they do those Challenge Mania podcasts, like live events, and I went to one last summer.
Oh, cool.
Which was super cool. I got to meet like Anissa and Brad and Derek, Susie. Some of these names or way back, like Timmy. That was really cool. And they have another one coming to Cleveland this summer as well. So they haven't announced who's going to be there yet. Oh, Mark Long will be there. So I'm excited about this.
I was just gonna ask, do you guys know, are they filming a new season for CBS like they have done the last 2 years? I
Oh,
really love those where they have the
those are good.
different shows on, like Big
I
Brother.
I
feel
don't
like I
know.
did see that they were.
Oh, they were?
I
They
thought I
should.
saw that. Let me see.
It's Challenge USA. Yeah.
Yeah, Challenge USA. I love that show too. I mean, it's a little
Mhm.
different than the
Yeah.
MTV version, but still
Right.
good. Still entertaining.
It's so
Good
cool to see
summer.
these things blow up. There were a lot of cast members who from We Are Family who were challenge nerds too. So I really was happy about that. Like Kamaka and Jen and
Happy
we were like,
birthday, Kamaka.
yeah. Oh, and I have his shirt on in honor of his birthday.
Oh,
Happy
that's
Secret
great.
birthday.
Aloha.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah,
Love it. He's
Kamaka's my
awesome.
guy.
Yeah, he's a
There were
good
a lot
dude.
of there were like a few people, on the show, of course, you grew close to. So and he's one
I
of those. So
understand that 100%.
I know, here we are, right?
Yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
that and I will say too, I grabbed a couple things for We Are Family. So this is Rita's book. One of our cast members, Rita, has a
Love
book called
Rita.
Once Upon a Rock Star. She had a good moment with Peter Frampton on the episode, so you can check out that. And then also, like I said, this Keep It Aloha, that's Kamaka's. I don't mean to keep bringing about We Are Family, but I will say that, I mean,
No,
we have to agree that Peter Frampton was, like, when people ask you who were the
Oh,
top
no,
celebs
for
there.
me, for sure.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. Like
I
when
mean,
I even said, Mike, I don't know about you. I went through a process when he was on, when this Julian was out there, and I'm like, I got it immediately and I put it immediately, but I'm like, there's no way Peter Frampton is on the show.
right.
Like I
Yeah.
had a moment, but when he said comes alive, I'm like, it has to be Peter Frampton, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Then when I saw the son, at first, from looking at the son, I thought maybe he was related to like Gene Simmons or something because he kind of looked like Nick Simmons. But
Yeah.
when oh man, that was a moment when he was.
It's
I
great.
literally got emotional seeing him sitting there with the guitar. Like
Really cool.
unbelievable moment. And then
Really,
Rita,
really
of
awesome.
course, to get the guitar pick, and yeah,
Yeah.
she just.
And Taylor, my seatmate, she had a moment that wasn't aired as well, but she had a real special connection
She
to
did.
Peter Frampton.
Yeah, I
And what's
remember hers.
Yeah, and then I wanted to mention. So speaking of Taylor, you can't see this, but I have a bracelet that says B21, which is my
Was
Oh,
seat.
was that your Secret
I
Santa gift,
love
right?
that.
It actually was not Secret Santa. I
Oh,
just
okay.
I just because Taylor didn't participate in Secret Santa, and I wanted to, so I got her one that said B20, and
I love
got
that.
this for myself just because sitting next to the people you each were next to, because I know you guys got along with them. I mean, everyone was great, but
Alexandra, yep.
yeah, it's great to
Amanda.
just like know that you were next to people that were
Yeah.
like
You guys
solid
had a
people.
whole jive going on. Like I was doing clips of the show, and you guys had this. I made several GIF moments. GIF.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah,
You're
We
talking
never,
about the in sync dancing one? Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of my favorite ones.
I know.
my nickname for
I'm
you is
wearing the stupid
Lucky
suit.
Leprechaun.
There it is. I brought it. Something about game shows, they always tell you jewel tones. They say, do you remember that from like
Yes.
Millionaire
And
and stuff?
I had a purple sweater. They switched.
Yeah.
The black, I'm glad they went with the black, but I was not wearing jewel tones. I was
Yeah, I
wearing like a
know. They always
Argyle
told me jewel
sweater.
tones on all the episodes. Like I wore this.
Magically delicious.
Nev called me Patty. Like when she didn't know my name, she'd
I
have
love
nicknames. She'd
them.
call me Patty, like Saint Pat. So
Uh,
it was really great.
you and Melanie.
What's that?
You and
Melanie.
Melanie.
Yes. Yeah.
The Irish
Yeah.
twins.
It was cool. I loved where I was seated because we were like this really I'll just say, like, being cast, like I never thought I was, you get this imposter syndrome a little bit when you get there and there's all these 100 people, right? And then, but I'm telling you, like, you think
I
you're
did.
like the imposter syndrome, but like I'm telling people, like, if you're like, just shed that right away, because they cast each person for a particular reason, and no, you're not going to have the same skills as the people next to you, but you're going to have the skills and the personality and whatever it is that you have that they need that fits. So it's not even like you're better, or it's not ranked in that way, better
It's
than
like
other
different
people.
pieces to a puzzle.
Yes, exactly. So
All
that's
different characters.
realization. Yeah, we're all bringing something to the table. But I will
You're
say
not
that our
me, I'm
little
not you.
section at the top was really cool because we had Adam S., who was a star player, and then Joni next to him, who was the top earner, who was not a star player, Lisa, who was a rock star, and then Madeline, who's a star player, and then myself, who
You were in the running for it.
I was one of the top 3 earners
You
without
were.
being star player. So it was like really cool. Like every time, I remember the Carney Wilson one, only 14 people got right, which is bonkers. And 5 of us were like in a row, like one of like 5 of the 14. So it was cool.
I'm completely convinced because Alexandra was a star player for Peter Frampton. I'm absolutely convinced. That was one of the shows they didn't tell you who the top 3 were, and I'm absolutely convinced that was one of them.
Yeah.
I got Andy Grammer very quickly. I got
Yeah.
Peter Frampton very quickly. And then but when they called it, Alexandra sitting next to me and her and Amanda, and then of course we had Leon, and I mean our row was pretty stacked too.
Yeah.
Melanie. I turn to her and I go, "Oh, it's going to be you." She goes, "No, no." I'm like, "No, it was going to be you," because I knew she was a little quicker than me, and I saw her name on the teleprompter, and I legit screamed before Anthony even announced it. I'm like, "It's you!" And she's like, "What? What?" And then if you look at the edit, you could see me getting excited before. And yeah, and so that was the 9th show taped. They legit turned off the teleprompter for the 10th show. I
Yeah,
couldn't
because they knew. Right.
because it was Mama's teleprompter because Mama was right near me, and I was like looking at it, like, oh, this guy, he's ruining our show. I'm gonna turn off the
Yeah.
teleprompter, and so yeah.
You guys both had
But
such
yeah,
great reactions too,
oh
Charlie and
god,
Tim, and also such great like you guys were showing so much too. I love it.
yeah,
And that's the thing too. I'm like, despite you being probably one of the people in the running there, Tim, as like I was in that situation too. One episode, um, it was the Pat Monahan Terrell Owens. I was one of only 3 to get both of them
yes,
right.
you were, yes,
And
we
I would
announced
have
you.
had Kyle Richards at $50,000. So there is a lot of like you gotta like, and sure in that situation you were like probably feeling a certain way, but you're also just at the same time just so happy for everyone else. And it
Exactly.
yeah.
I
And
loved Alexandra, so I was thrilled,
yeah,
as you could see on
exactly.
I was thrilled. I gave her a hug,
Yeah.
and I love her. She's
Yeah.
awesome. So I
And
mean,
for the
everything
one
happens
that
for a reason.
and for the one that Mike was one of the 3 finalists, they announced the finalists and then they put us on like a 10-minute break to go
Yes,
get
I
snacks
know.
and stuff. And I was walking out with you when you were one of the 3. I don't know if you remember the conversation, but
I was
you had said exactly that. You're like, I would love to go, but like, what if
what if I
versus
blow
staying
it?
on and staying on and getting more episodes to keep stacking it
That
up.
was the hard.
So
That was
you
the
were
tricky
very
part.
50-50 on that.
I know. I
That
remember
was the
Kamaka
tricky
coming up
part.
to me and said, "I'm gonna miss you," because he was convinced it was me. And I'm like,
I was
it's
pretty convinced it was you too.
I know, I was too, and I was freaking out because I didn't like, we had just had a couple episodes before that where people didn't do well, and when they were star player, and but I would have, and so it really, it's a
Now,
shame.
for perspective, I was at a hotel somewhere
Yeah, I
when this
know.
happened, so
For
I wasn't
perspective,
there yet.
she came out of the sphere, and I turned to Al and I said, "Who is that?"
But I will say, not to keep talking about We Are Family, but one more thing is that was really funny. Charlie, did you get Terrell Owens?
I did not get Terrell
Ah,
Owens.
okay.
And the reason why I didn't get it was I had convinced myself that he was not in the movie Any Given Sunday.
Oh,
So I
okay.
talked myself out of that. It had been years since I'd seen the movie, and I
Yeah.
forgot he has a tiny, brief cameo.
Well, and they did this too, T.O.
Yeah, I
But
know.
fun fact, he was one of the celebrities
Pyramid.
on the day of the pyramid. Yeah, that I
Yes,
filmed the
that's
pyramid.
so funny.
And what's cool about so I told you my parents were in the audience for that. And so when we were told for the pyramid what day we were going to go and film, um, there was this website that was selling tickets to audience members, and it would say which celebrities would be there that day. So I knew I had it whittled down. Like there are these 6 celebrities that will be there, and I will have 2 of
One of
these.
Who were the
6.
other ones in addition to T.O. that
Yeah,
were not
Tio was
yours?
paired with Gail King,
Gail King, okay.
and who I met there that day. And then the other episode was Terry Crews and Andre Brower.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So
You would have got the Brooklyn Nine-Nine treatment.
I know. Yeah. Pretty
Oh,
cool.
man.
But
Rest in peace, Andre Bauer.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he was the
right.
best.
But that was the thing. So like, I like studied up on these people too ahead of going into it. And so that's how I knew then on We Are Family. I'm like, this is T.O. And he was also on the challenge. Champs versus Stars or whatever it was.
Are you a sports fan?
Not, I mean, I like Ohio State Buckeyes basically is the only sports I really follow.
Hey, you go to
Um,
Guardians games.
I go to Guardians games, and actually, I felt like Tim for a little while for a minute there because I won a sweepstakes to throw the first pitch out last
Woo!
summer at the Columbus Clippers game. So
That's
minor
amazing.
league, but still,
I
That's
it was
still
awesome.
love that. Are you
That's
kidding
awesome.
me?
Throwing out the
That's
first pitch,
amazing.
even
How'd
at a
it
minor
go?
league game, is
How'd
awesome.
it go?
it was good. I did good because okay, I am I played a lot of sports
You're
growing up.
athletic. Yeah.
Never played baseball, but so I practice and practice. So I got it over the base, right over the base. That's all you
Love
needed.
it.
So
That's it.
Yeah.
and that was really fun. But
You had
I
a
felt like
little
Tim because
control.
I didn't
Is
even
there
like.
is there a clip out there of you throwing out that first
Yeah,
pitch?
yeah. I'll send it to you guys.
I want to see
Yeah, I
that.
wanna see
want to
it.
see that.
The camera person though, the end he didn't do a great job, but you'll see it was good.
Yeah.
So,
And you also went to a Braves game while we were in Atlanta.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, we
Went to
all went in
Cincinnati
our little
Reds.
pockets of Braves games.
My dog's name is Slider too, by the way.
Oh, I love
which is
that.
mascot of the Cleveland Guardians. Yeah.
I love that.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
look at that. See, you're a big sports guy.
Yeah. Huge.
Charlie wins the prize though, because baseball is my thing, but once you get beyond baseball, I'm like, a little less of a sports fan.
Yeah.
We're coming in just for our audience to say, Charlie and I will be doing another episode sometime early next week. We'll have it out where we're going to do a preview of the baseball season coming up. That's starting. I'm really
Nice.
excited for that. So
Yeah, I'm pumped.
You know that one of our cast members' brother is
He
Toronto
made
Jay.
the opening day roster for the Jays again.
Yeah.
So,
Madeline.
Yeah, she was posted about
Madeline.
it.
Yeah. That's exciting. We have so many interesting people, right? On our cast that are just fascinating. Yeah, Nev on Saturday Night Live, and you have, just different things that people are doing, and it's because there's so many of us. It's going to be real exciting to see, and Nick and his band Night Beast, and all these things that are just we're gonna get to kind of follow, and I love it. It really is an extended family. And you and the marathons and you're running, and
I'm in a fantasy baseball league that's been running for over 20 years, and it was in the playoffs while we were filming We Are Family. So Tim, being at my hotel, was constantly hearing me talk about it because I was in the championship.
Yeah.
And I had picked up Madeline's brother, Davis Schneider, in my league when he got called up in about July, and he had a huge 6-week span. He really, really helped my team, and I won the championship. So at the end of the season, after the show, we got back about a week later, I put on my Blue Jays jersey and was holding my league trophy. And I sent it to Madeline. I said, "Thank your brother for me. He was a big part of this."
Awesome. That's
so
awesome.
It's funny too, is as we said earlier, Peter Frampton by far was the celebrity. But for me, as such a baseball nerd, while we were sitting there and she says, "Oh yeah, my brother played baseball," and all of a sudden in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I narrowed down right away who it was. I turned to Al and I go, "Holy, her brother's Davis Schneider of the Blue Jays," which was so cool. That
awesome.
was one of my biggest reactions of the show, was finding out that. So shout out to Madeline for that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because and people don't really notice because it really hasn't been talked about. But one of our 100 was Paris Theman, who was Mike TV in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I was starstruck with him. Like,
me too.
Someone told me, it's like, "Do you know Mike TV's on our cast?" I'm like, I think Charlie did. I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And he goes, "Look, when you go back, look." And I'm looking around. I'm like,
that was for me one of the best too, honestly, because I
got to sit next to him
1,000 times. Yeah,
man. We were going to get food one day, and I had to. I was like a little nervous going up to him. Like, I just have to say, Paris, that Willy Wonka is by far like my favorite movie of all time. When I was a kid growing up,
mine too.
That opening with the chocolate and the whole thing, like that movie is just iconic. And just to be in the same room as you, and I'm like, I don't mean to kind of make you uncomfortable. I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable. I just said, but I love you. And he goes, oh, thank you. He was really nice. And yeah, I was
Yeah.
so cool. Like, wow.
And I'm sure
yeah,
you heard or learned after the fact that he's on all sorts of other shows too, like
Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Jeopardy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Game shows. Yes.
Yeah, and
I
I
know
think he
this.
was like a producer or something on like a couple movies and stuff too. He
Oh,
was telling
wow.
me.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I
That was
know.
awesome.
I have a prediction. You know, I'm full of predictions. I think that you guys, this will not be the last show for any of us. So I think, you know, I'll see you in the future, you and Charlie on something else for sure. And
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of our cast members, I'm sure we'll see again because just they're amazing.
I think so too. I mean, Tim, you are a prime example. So I mean, I want to be like you.
Look at Rob. Look at Rob, who we had
Oh
on
my
last week.
gosh, that last episode,
I didn't
you
even
guys.
know all those shows that he was on.
That last episode,
I
was
literally,
like,
you could see me go.
I remember. I need to talk to him about. He said pyramid. It must have been the Donny Osmond thing. I got to talk to him about that.
It's cool
Right.
stuff.
Well, and Charlie, you will definitely be. I mean, your energy is
100%.
You'll be up there.
As long as it doesn't involve any gross eating.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping, you know, we'll see you in the next couple of years on Survivor or something else, Mike. I'm sure of it.
Survivor.
We'll be
He's gonna
rooting
be
you
on for Survivor.
100%.
That'd be awesome. That'd be great. And I will not be wearing this tie.
No, you will
No
not be
tie.
wearing a tie. That's
For
guaranteed.
once.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Mike. We really appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun talking with you and kind of getting to know you a little more.
Thanks for having me, and I hope that the listeners also enjoy sort of the inside baseball, no pun intended, of the game shows, and and I know you and I will all be texting about Survivor and the challenge and everything else. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then
100%.
next year, if you guys want to get in on a Big Brother fantasy league, one of my friends runs one. It's fun.
Oh,
it's
I'm totally
it's
in
like
there.
$5. It's like nothing, but it's
I
just
love
fun.
Big Brother.
It's literally fun to have a team that you're like rooting for on the show. It makes it kind of feel like it's baseball. So
maybe I'll create one myself. That would be fun too. Yeah, we'll do it.
You guys are awesome. I'm so happy that we got to connect and I get to listen to you each week, and now I got to be part of it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate
Mevins, as he's known.
That's right.
Mevins on social media. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
All right, this has been another episode of Roundup Bases, the pop culture and sports podcast. I'm Tim Sternberg with
Charlie Seymour. And thanks to
Michael
guest
Evans.
host Michael. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it.
We love you, man.
Guys. Love you too.
Thank you. All right, everyone. See, until next time, we'll see you with a baseball preview episode next time on Around the Bases. See you then. Bye.